I finally got to Chile, and I was so excited. I was so excited. I was on the plane just freaking out. And then we landed. We went to a little church nearby, and they did a little program. We actually came in the middle of a transfer, so it wasn't as normal as it would have been. Usually they will have a little devotional where they'll play some songs and you get to know your mission president a little bit. You'll hear some talks about what a missionary is and what a missionary does. You'll get a special book maybe from your mission. Ours give us a book of talks and of specific rules for my mission. We received that, and then we got our trainers. Mine was from Argentina, and she was so nervous, especially nervous that I wouldn't speak Spanish. And I remember feeling like I spoke Spanish and then getting in a car and people were talking to me and I understood some of it, but not all of it. And then I went on a long and windy car ride to my first home, which was a bright neon green on the inside, little 3-room apartment. And I lived with all Latin sisters, so all I heard every day, all day, was Spanish. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me because I got to really immerse myself. And sometimes I felt like I was too immersed. I was drowning and I didn't understand. But it taught me to really listen by the Spirit and to focus, and it helped my Spanish improve a ton.
The first day was it was an overwhelming experience. I have certain things that will bring back memories. If I see a palm tree or something, it'll kind of just take me right back to that first day, riding with my mission president in the truck from the airport to the mission home, and just seeing the palm trees, the graffiti, the huge mountains, and it was really hot. I left here in the middle of winter, and then we got to Chile, and it was in the summer, and so it was hot, and just everything was so new. I was really tired from being on the plane for 13 hours or however long it was, and not being able to sleep very well on the plane. And I remember when we got to the airport and we met the mission president and the assistants, and there was a group of 9 of us missionaries coming from the MTC. And I remember because of the time difference, my alarm clock to wake up in the morning went off in my bag while we were waiting for a taxi. And anyway, it was, first of all, just very new. I do remember just when I looked into my mission president's eyes for the first time, when I first met him, I just could feel that he was a man called of God and that he really loved us and cared about us. And I remember he sat us down in his house and let us each type a really quick email to our parents, just letting us know that we had arrived at the mission safely. And I just remember typing, "I love this man. I love it here. This is great." And then he let us take a nap for a little while he talked to, I think he was talking to the assistants about which trainer they could have with which missionary or something. And then we went to the temple grounds to go meet our first companions, and it was great. They all came. They were all standing there, and we walked up, and they had been. I think we'd been told the names of our companions, and we had to just look at their tags and find which one was ours, and give them a big hug, and then head off to the area. And good memories from the first day. I remember feeling I was in for it. I was in for a long 2 years of things that were very different, new experiences, and but I was glad to be with the people that I was with. I had great missionaries with me from the MTC, and a good first companion, and an awesome mission president too.
I felt like Chile is not that different from the United States. Like, of course, they speak Spanish, and there are a lot of dogs, and there are gates in front of every house. But other than that, like, it's pretty normal. So I love the mountains. I thought they were beautiful, and I was just excited to be there. It was kind of weird. It didn't really feel like I was in a different country, but it was fun. I don't know. It was nothing that crazy. So Santiago East Mission is mostly the eastern part of Santiago, the city, which is a pretty big city. It extends until the mountains, where on the other side of the mountains there's Argentina. And it's mostly just the city. There are little areas like there's one called Pirque, which is pretty country, but the rest is mostly in a city type setting. It has a temple in it, which is a really beautiful temple. Right now there's only one temple in Chile. There's another one that is being built in Concepcion, but the main one right now is in Santiago. And so that is included in our mission, which is actually right next to the MTC. When I was there were about 80 to 90 sister missionaries, which is kind of a lot for a pretty small mission. In the MTC, they told me that our mission was the smallest mission in the world except for the Temple Square mission. That might have changed now with all the new missions, but at least when I was in the MTC, it was the smallest one. But it's beautiful. I love it. Probably about 5 to 10 years ago, they just celebrated 50 years. So we have about 50 to 60 years of the mission being in Chile, so like the church being there. They have several wards and stakes. So it's not that small, but it's also not, as big as Utah. So, but it's a pretty good sized church there. We had about half and half. Half what they call gringos, so just like Americans, and half Latinos. And a few people from Brazil. So, but mostly just, South America. So I only had 2 areas. My first area, it was a ward called El Parque, which was in the area La Florida. And my second area was the ward called Apoquindo, and it was in Las Condes. And so the first one was a little, not super poor, but not the richest area. And then my second area was a lot more. They had a lot more money up there.
So I remember when I first got there, my first area was called El Melon, which it just translated as the melon. So I was living in a place called the Melon, and it was tiny. There wasn't very many people, lots of dirt roads, which is very different from where I grew up in Utah. And the MTC, which is where I just came from, And so I think the biggest memory I have of that first part of my mission was just kind of the culture shock. Like, oh my gosh, I'm in a different part of the world. I'm on a mission. I'm speaking a language that I don't really know that well right now. And this lifestyle is so different, both the mission lifestyle and just the cultural lifestyle around me. And so I think that the biggest memory I have of that first part of my mission was just like, this is crazy. I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm doing all this stuff and I don't understand anything. And it wasn't necessarily frustration, just more like being totally overwhelmed at what was about to happen. And I had a great trainer, great, elders and sisters in my district that supported and encouraged us every week when we got together. But yeah, I definitely felt like a shock and overwhelming just kind of thing when I first got to my mission. And I wouldn't say it necessarily got easier because, you always want to put your whole self in your mission and it's the same work. But I definitely felt that kind of like, this is going to be a crazy 2 years. I don't think you quite understand what's about to happen. And I'm glad I felt that because it helped me rely on the Lord and have humility and really, if I wanted to understand something, I knew I needed His help because I didn't know the language. And if I wanted to know the scriptures better than I did, I needed His help because, I had these people that I was trying to teach. So definitely overwhelming, but in the best kind of way.